Oh, dear God. What the fuck? See, I knew it was going to have one of them damn moments. It's like... Oh, Jesus Christ. Hello there, CriterioNate here. Part 6 of Berlin Alexanderplatz, this thing. The epilogue. Like, just what? Oh, gosh. So, what? I don't know what the hell that was supposed to be. I tried to figure it out. No. I don't know what was going on, but I'm just like... So, apparently the majority of the epilogue is a dream sequence. Like, practically the whole damn thing. In fact, there were bits where I couldn't tell. I mean, it wasn't until the very end that I could tell where and when the dream sequence ended, you know? So anyway, so let me just tell you what I saw. I'm not going to analyze it. I mean, I'll try analyzing, but I don't know. I'm so done with this, you know? So Franz is wandering around with these angels. They're both dressed with blonde wigs. One's a woman, one's a man. And he's got a false arm. He's got a false right arm suddenly. The Jewish guy from the first part shows up and starts talking to him. There's a guy hung in a tree, and I think he looks like Franz. I don't know. And then he sees Meets in a bush, and he hugs her, and this choir sings, and then Meets is gone. And he runs into Looters, and it was weird because, and I don't even remember who the fuck Looters was. I really seriously have to look online and figure out who the hell. I'm gonna look on the Wikipedia page right now because I honestly don't remember who the hell. Oh, Otto. Oh, okay. See, it's like, I was calling him Otto. Okay, Looter. Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right. So he shows up and he says, "Oh, it's this November 22nd," which is funny because as I'm filming this, it actually is November 22nd as I'm filming this, and so that kind of creeped me the fuck out. So anyway, Eve and Herbert are there, and then Reinhold's in prison. It shows Reinhold in prison. He goes by the name Andrei, and I guess he's really gay. He's got a naked cellmate, and he hugs him and kisses him, and then Franz is in a straitjacket. I guess Franz is committed because he starts yelling stuff in the street, and the police take him away and have him committed. And he sees Reinhold being taken away, and I guess that's probably the real part. I don't know. And then Reinhold has this vision where he sees Franz under the car, and the drivers are even Herbert. Reinhold shoots them. And then Franz shoots Mietze in a sequence, and Pimp in the forest, and the pimp from this keeps talking about the whore Babylon follows him in the forest. And then Franz is in the hospital, and he's not eating, and the doctors are considering shock treatment, but they can't do it because I guess it was considered torture. However, in another sequence, Franz is whipped and punched by Reinhold under a disco ball. And by this point, the music is erroneous or whatever, like, you know, inaccurate. We hear Janis Joplin doing Me and Bobby McGee, Leonard Cohen's Chelsea Hotel No. 2, which really struck me in the feels because that song is kind of personal to me. And just I don't remember who it was with some synthesizer music. In fact, I want to look that up and see. It sounded like maybe it was like Kraftwerk or Human League or something. Let me look it up. I'm sure IMDb's got it. But what else? What else happens? So yeah, and yeah. So Franz is the rat, and see all these rats. And he crawls through this hole and he sees Meets having sex with Reinhold. And he's like, "Oh, he just fell on top of me," even though she's on top of him. And then Meets is like miming some song. I think it's Meets, or it might be Eva, or even Ida, miming some song in the butcher's shop, and then she kills herself. And the Reaper covers Franz's face with mud. I guess this Reaper, the Reaper they've been talking about. You know, death is a theme in the series. So there's that. And what else? What else happens? I'm looking at my notes right now. I'm just like going through like all the shit I took down. Reaper covers with Franz and Meets. Oh God. There's another sequence where Franz and Meets are in this abattoir, and she does her screaming again. I think they lifted it directly from the scene where she screams after Franz is beaten, but it goes on way longer, and so I just was like, mute it. Just fuck this. I can't do this shit anymore. And then Franz is in a cell, and Eva is like, "Oh, come on, you can do this," and saying some shit. And there's a sequence where Reinhold wants Franz is in a chokehold, and Reinz wants Franz's heart, and some random people are laying around. And there's a guy playing piano and screaming stuff on a stage in front of the car with Franz underneath it, or I think Meets is underneath it now. And then Franz is led to this pile of people that keeps being shown. He lays down, takes off his clothes, and lays down on it. And then Franz and Meets are in a room, and he can't move his legs anymore, and she's all distraught, and she starts screaming again. And then a sequence where Franz and Reinhold are in boxing equipment, and they're about to spar, and Franz is like, "I can't fight you," and then they embrace, and suddenly his face is bloodied, and you know, what else? What else happens? Go back to my notes here. I'm looking at the IMDb page trying to figure out that song. Franz and the Jewish man are in this ward, and I guess Ida's there. I have no clue what that's about. But anyway, let me see. Oh, here's the soundtrack. Oh, we don't have the soundtrack. Well, that's stupid. I'm not going to go back in the credits and look it up. I'm sure it's something I know. Although I want to go back because I thought I saw something a little interesting. But let me. Okay, so what else? Franz, yeah, the Franz Jewish man, and then Franz is on the cross, and everybody's watching, and then there's an atom bomb in the background, and then we see here in the mood, and everybody falls and dies, and people start picking him up, and the angels start having a conversation, and apparently that's the end of the big thing, and then the next thing we see is Franz, I guess, is on trial or like on the stand trying, speaking on Reinhold, and he's telling him everything he knows. And then I guess it ends with, I guess Herbert got 2 years for violence or something like that. I don't know. Eva lost the baby. And so there's that. Mech gets, I think, 2 years for assisting Reinhold in burying Meets' body, and Reinhold gets 10 years, even though Eva screams and wants him to have life because he's a murderer, which makes sense, but I guess he only gets 10 years for manslaughter. And Franz ends up getting a job as an assistant in an automobile factory. Meanwhile, the narration just kind of hints at the fact that World War II is on its way. Because I guess it's supposed to be set in. The other big thing is it's a historical fiction. It's supposed to be set in 1928. Most of this, so obviously World War II was coming. Slowly but surely. And Franz just kind of goes about his job, and it's unclear as to whether or not he will even pay attention to it or something. And That's all I got. So, oh god. Now to be fair, let's be fair about this. I liked this. I did like it. I liked the, I thought it was really good. I did not like Meets' screaming. I thought that was extremely unnecessary. And that is what's hindering me from giving it an A. That sequence. I'm sorry, I cannot give it an A because of Meets' screaming. And analyze it if you want. Yeah. So I'm giving this an A-. I still really enjoyed this. Even if it's confusing as hell, even if the epilogue just didn't make a lick of sense to me, I think I can forgive it because it's supposed to be, maybe it's supposed to be his psyche and all that. And it's an interesting way of summarizing all that we've seen. We've seen, was it over almost 12, 13 hours of material. To wrap it up in a 2-hour mini movie, a 2-hour dream sequence makes perfect sense to me. Blah, 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 blah. But yeah, I still think this is Fassbender's best work. I think it makes sense to a fault. I really wish that the DVD came with the book, because I'd like to buy this, and I'm going to try and order it for the sale, for the end of the sale. I don't know if it'll come in enough time, but I will do my damnedest. So anyway, yeah, I'd like to read this, and apparently there's a new. I looked online. Amazon's got a new pressing coming out of it. A new translation's coming out of it soon, so I may pick it up. Actually, I'll see if I can get it from the library, because obviously, the library saves some money. But I just noticed that apparently there's a new adaptation of it coming out next year. Or they announced it this year, and it's set to come out in 2018. Let me look up some. I'm just looking on IMDb. Let's see if maybe there's some more information of it on 2018. No, I don't see anything. I don't see anything else. So. Anyway, so it'll be interesting, maybe if it makes its way stateside, maybe I'll check it out, because this is an interesting story. Of course, we do have a film adaptation to check out sometime soon tomorrow, so we'll have that. Yeah, so it's an interesting story. Franz is, I think, what I can see is Franz is a guy who tried to make good and failed miserably. I think what we can learn from this is no one is good. Death is imminent for everyone. I think what maybe Dublin was saying was that everyone has evil in them, and everyone's selfish. I think no one really cares about anyone in this story. Truly cares about anyone in this story. Everyone is looking out for their own good. And so that's what I interpreted. That's how I interpreted the story. Franz is one of those people who committed a crime and has a second attempt at life, and basically goes about it all the wrong way. Has to travel through this long path of events to get to, I guess his final fate as a attendant in a automobile factory. Now, obviously, the narration hints that he will get drafted in the war or something, and maybe he dies in the fighting in the war. Even though, and I guess they find something for him to do. The army finds something to do with one arm. So he will die eventually. I don't know. The narration kind of summarizes that after once we get to the end, once we get to his being there, there's nothing much to report. There's nothing else. There's something about like there's nothing else to report. His story ends here, you know. And so I thought that was an interesting little way of ending the story, but yeah. So yeah, so there's themes. The themes are like death, sex. Sex is a big part, you know. And again, I think, you know, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I think Fassbinder treated sex a hell of a lot better in this miniseries than he did with, you know, Lola and Marriage of Maria Braun and Veronica Voss and Ali Fears the Soul. So on that note, you know, I applaud Fassbinder for doing that. So yeah, I think, you know, and I think Fassbinder, I think this is a very ambitious project. Obviously, this isn't the first rodeo, the TV rodeo. You know, he had done World on a Wire by this point, but this is like, you know, the ultimate. You know, this is the ultimate project. So, yeah, I don't really know what else to say. It's good. I'm probably going to pick it up because I'm a sucker for TV series, and I'm a sucker for basically anything Criterion puts out that's TV series. You know, I still want to get Fanny Alexander. I've got Tanner 88. You know, Fishing with John. I'm probably going to get The Golden Age of Television, which we will watch sometime later this season, a long time from now. Yeah, I think it's an interesting story. It's confusing in a lot of parts. I think a lot of it is the historical aspect of it. I have a hard time grasping, you know, historical fiction sometimes. I feel like there's a lot I should know. But more importantly, I feel like I want to read the book. I really want to read the book, so I'm going to add it to my reading list. I don't know when I will, but when I do, I will be sure to let you guys know. I'm sure I'll read it before I get caught up with Criterion. Actually, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Anyway, I got to wrap this up. Brill and Alexanderplatz, A-. Weird, but entertaining. The serialized aspect of it is fascinating, and the dream sequence is weird as fuck. I would check this out at least once, but don't watch it all in one sitting. Do not binge watch this, okay? You know, pace yourself like I did. I think that really helped. I think that got me excited to watch it a little, you know? I mean, think about the fact that it was serialized back then, you know? Like, I think I was looking at the schedule, and I think that they did it, like, they aired the first 2 parts in one night, or like the first part, they aired the second part the night after the first part, and then they did it weekly, and then they aired the epilogue the same night as part 13, all back in 1980. I think that's how they did it. Anyway, so yeah, Brill and Alexanderplatz, A-, serialize this, check it out. You know, I get this from the library. Definitely get this from the library or rent it somewhere before picking it up. This is, you know, TV series are my kind of butter, you know, bread and butter, you know, goes up in my short attention span and all that. So anyway, there you are. I made it. Woo! Well, no, I'm not done yet. Supplements. Yes, disc 6 has a new supplement, an hour-long Brill and Alexanderplatz, but I didn't have time for it today. So we will do all the supplements. Disc 6, the movie on the hour-long documentary on Disc 6, and Disc 7, which contains another documentary. There's the documentary. There's another there's another new documentary. A documentary was made about the making of Brill and Alexanderplatz. The 90-minute 1931 adaptation of it. And I guess some more interviews. Another interview with Peter Jelovich, who wrote a critical analysis of Brill and Alexanderplatz. So yeah, so we're not done yet. We're almost out of the woods. We will see you all tomorrow for the final part, the wrap up, basically. I mean, we're wrapping up. This is the final kind of end of the review. But we've got supplements, and we'll take care of them tomorrow. So until then, we'll talk to you tomorrow.